What's up, all you Instacart shoppers out there? I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, and this is the second installment in a three-part series of first day training tutorials. In the first lesson, we went over everything you know to get started with the Shopper app. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend watching that first and all the other videos in my Instacart Beginner's Guide series for that matter. This time, I'm going to show you how to actually shop a typical full-service order. First, I'll go over some general shopping strategies. Then I'll go over actually picking the items. I'll also discuss typical issues that arise and what to do in those situations. As I mentioned in the first lesson, make sure you scroll through the item preview screen before you accept that batch, because those previews will help you plan your shopping route. You want to look for deli items and prepared foods because you're going to do those first and last, respectively. If the customer wants deli meat and cheese, make sure you have a notepad and a pen and go to the deli counter first. Don't slide the green button to start shopping until they're actually ready to wait on you. Find the deli items, they're usually near the bottom. Write down what the customer wants, rip the page out, and hand it to the clerk. Ask them to leave it on the counter and tell them you'll come back to get it when you're done shopping. I've never had a problem doing this, and you shouldn't either as long as you're polite and your handwriting is legible. You can use the same technique if the customer wants made-to-order foods like subs or pizza. The problem is those lines are usually a lot longer and or slower than the deli lines, so I recommend going there first. However, if the customer wants hot, pre-packaged, ready-to-go food like rotisserie chicken, save it for last. Most stores have a pickup counter with a chiller and heat lamps to keep cold food cold and hot food hot. In either case, those items will stay fresher there than they will in your cart, so take advantage of that. Most customers will put notes on how they want their food made, but some don't. When this happens, call the customer immediately and ask them how they want their food made. If you can't get a hold of them, just tell the clerk to make it look like the picture or whatever the most popular method is. Personally, I wish Instacart would ban prepared foods because they're more trouble than they're worth, but that's the subject for another sermon. The Shopper app will have the items listed in what it thinks is the most efficient route, but it almost never is. In fact, I don't think I've ever once shopped a batch in the order Instacart recommends. I have a few different strategies I use depending on the situation. If there are a lot of frozen refrigerated foods, I'll actually shop for them first. I keep them huddled together so they'll keep each other cold. But if there's only a couple of cold things, I'll usually shop for them last. Another good strategy I use is to get the heavy items first, like cases of water, laundry detergent, big huge bags of dog food, 2 liters of soda, and beer and wine. I keep the heavy items underneath and or at the bottom of the cart and towards the back. Light stuff goes up front and on top. If the order is mostly room temperature, normal weight groceries, I'll go through the aisles in numerical order and save all the outlier sections like produce and meat for last. By the way, the aisle numbers listed in the Shopper app are not always correct. This almost always happens when I shop at a location other than the one Instacart chose. Thankfully, the Publix mobile app can detect what store I'm in. When I do a search for a product, it'll tell me what aisle to find it. If the supermarkets in your area have mobile apps with this feature, I highly recommend you download them. Just bear in mind that no two stores are laid out exactly the same. Some stores within the same chain may look the same, but they never are, and this is done by design. It will take quite some time before you're accustomed to the various store layouts and variety of products. Practice makes perfect, so don't feel bad if your average item time is over 100 seconds when you're just starting out. Once you've done this job enough, your speed will increase and you'll be able to shop more orders in the same amount of time and thus make more money. Once you've got a shopping strategy plan, all you have to do is actually pick the items. When you found the item the customer wants, tap the item on the main list and it will take you to its own page. Then tap Found Item and the app will show you the view through your camera lens. Hold the item's barcode up to your camera and you'll see a blue rectangle when the barcode is scanned. Make sure you're getting the exact item specified. If you pick the wrong size or flavor or brand, the app will throw an error. Pay attention to the details. Even though the packaging might look like the picture, it could still be incorrect. Side note 1, you'll sometimes get an error that the item picked is incorrect even if you did pick the correct item. This is just a database issue and can sometimes be caused by minute detail differences. When this happens, tap Try Again, then tap Force Mark as Found. The app will prompt you to take a photo of the item and then it'll register as if you had picked the correct item. Just be sure you did pick the correct item. Side note too, sometimes the item looks different than the picture shown in the app, but if all the product specs are the same, it will still scan. This happens when the manufacturer updates the packaging, but Instacart hasn't updated their database with the new photo yet. If the person wants multiple units of the same item, scan the barcode of any unit and the app will tell you to enter the quantity picked. Most of the time, you'll be able to get as many as the customer wants, but if the store is short, just enter the number you were able to find. When this happens, message the customer to let them know. You could ask them if they want to substitute for the missing units with a different flavor or whatever. If they do, and the products are the exact same price, just go back and change the quantity to the number of units they originally wanted. If they want to substitute something of a different price, you'll have to add it manually, and I'll show you how to do this in part 5. Some items have a barcode, but you still have to enter the item's weight. You'll see this on deli, meat, and seafood products. When you scan the barcode, you'll be prompted to enter a quantity. If it's just 1, then type 1, and the weight should autofill. Just ensure that the weight in the app matches what the weight on the package actually says. For some reason, it's always underweight at Publix, but accurate at Aldi. If it's 2 or more of the same product, you'll have to add the weight up yourself, then just enter that total for the weight. There are also items without barcodes at all, namely produce. These items are nice because you don't have to scan anything, but you still have to make sure you get the correct quantity and or weight. For example, lemons, parsley, and cucumbers are sold by quantity. If they want 1, all you have to do is hit found item and it will disappear off the to-do list. If they want 2 or more, just get that many and enter the amount picked. But with something like apples or onions, you'll have to pick as many as they want and weigh them. The app will have an estimate of what the weight should be, but it's almost always underestimated. Don't be alarmed if the app warns you're about to charge the customer more than what was estimated. Finally, certain produce like grapes are sold by weight only. Try to get the exact weight the customer wants whenever possible. If it's a little over or a little under, you'll be fine. There's definitely going to be times when the store is sold out of something your customer wants. When this happens, tap Can't Find Item and you'll have a few options. If the customer already provided their second choice when they were making their shopping list, the app will show it immediately. If the customer didn't provide a second choice, the app will show its recommended substitute. In either case, just pick and scan the substitute as you would a first choice. If the default substitute is not available or not practical, tap Can't Find Item again and it will have a list of even more recommended substitutes. Tap the most appropriate item and go through the normal picking process. If none of these are available or practical, tap None of These Work and you'll be given the option of refunding that item. It'll give you a list of reasons to choose from to justify the refund, so just pick the most applicable choice. Lastly, some customers don't want substitutes at all. If so, you'll see a red circle with a C-shaped arrow telling you to refund the customer. It also gives you the option of entering your own substitution, but I don't recommend doing this unless you've already cleared it with the customer. Then again, customers sometimes change their minds about their own items and or they don't like your substitute and want a refund. When this happens, just find the product in question, either on the To-Do tab or the Done tab, then tap Can't Find Item. The app will go through the substitution process all over again, but just keep tapping Can't Find Item and None of These Work until you get to the refund screen. Once in a while, the customer will ask you to add an item that they forgot. This is easy to do. Just go to the To-Do tab, scroll all the way to the bottom, then tap Add an Item. Scan the barcode, and it should auto-populate with all the pertinent information. And once in an even greater while, the app will not recognize a legitimate product, so you'll have to add it manually. This is a self-explanatory screen that asks you to enter the product name, the price, and the quantity. After you've scanned the last item, the to-do list will be blank, and you'll see a message that says, "You're all done." The Add New Item button will still be there, so if you need to add something for the customer, do it now. Before you tap the Review Changes button at the bottom, check the top right of the screen. If you see a red circle with a number in it, this means the customer messaged you, but you haven't read it yet. There's no way to continue without reading the message, so just tap the red circle, then tap the green arrow in the top left corner and go back to the main screen. From here, you can finally tap Review Changes to get started on the checkout process. If you didn't make any changes or refunds, the app will go to the Review Changes screen, which will tell you to head to the checkout. In fact, even if you did make a change, most customers don't want to be bothered, so you'll see this screen on the majority of orders. However, some customers do want to be called no matter how minor of a change was made to their order. In these cases, the review changes screen will show a list of everything that was replaced and or refunded, along with a call customer button along the bottom. Once you tap that button, you'll receive a call from Instacart and hear a computer voice telling you to press 1 to start the call to the customer. If the customer answers, tell them you're their Instacart shopper and you're just calling to make sure they're okay with the changes you made. If it goes to voicemail, just leave a message saying the same thing. If you've been chatting with a customer while shopping and they're already familiar with the changes, you could just hang up when that call comes in and it'll let you continue. Whether you had to call the customer or not, make sure you tap the Go to Next Step button as soon as possible to stop the clock and keep your average item time as low as possible. Believe it or not, that clock is still running while you're on the phone with the customer, so try to keep the conversation as short as possible. Just don't be rude. Once you finally get to the checkout screen, you'll see a few different options depending on the order. Sometimes you'll see a box that says View Checkout Cards at the top with a Show Barcodes button underneath. This is a feature meant for stores where the customer can use their rewards card through Instacart to get credit for their purchase. Otherwise, you'll see a couple of horizontal pages recapping information about the customer and the shopping you just did. This is all useless information, so just skip that Show Barcodes button and tap Next to continue. If you're shopping in a store that requires a membership card like BJ's, Sam's Club, or Costco, or a discount card to get the sale prices like Total Wine, CVS, or the Fresh Market, the app will automatically display Instacart's membership card as soon as you get to the checkout screen. Show these cards to the cashier for them to scan. If your customer bought alcohol, you'll see a box telling you to ask a store employee to accept the order. I'm not really sure what the point of this screen is, since the store won't be carding the customer, they'll be carding you. Make sure you bring your ID with you because you might have to show it to check out. To get past this screen, just tap the switch in the bottom right corner and the Confirm Above to Continue button will turn from gray to green. After all that rigmarole, you'll finally be on the screen telling you to swipe payment card as debit or credit. Although I should point out that more often than not, this will be the only screen you'll see. If you watch this screen carefully, you'll notice the box along the bottom will change from Enter Information Manually to Next the second the cash register approves your card. Once you tap the Next button, the app will transition to the delivery process screen. Sometimes you'll see a black banner along the bottom displaying your seconds per item time for that particular shop. What's weird is the app doesn't always show this. It seems to be rather random. If you've ever gone grocery shopping in your life, you probably know how the whole checkout process works. You put your items on the belt, the cashier scans them, and the bagger bags it up. Simple, right? Yes, but I do have a few tips that will make the process quicker and more efficient. First of all, unload your cart beginning with the heaviest items. Since the bagger or cashier will probably bag the items and load the cart in the order the items are scanned, it just makes sense to have the heaviest stuff go first. That way they're at the bottom of the cart. Also, if you're using the Ozark trail bags, and you should be, you can skip bagging big items and anything with a built-in handle like milk, laundry detergent, 2 liters of soda, and any drinks that come in 6 or 8 packs with a built-in handle like Gatorade. Some stores will even let you leave the really big stuff like cases of bottled water and huge bags of dog food under the cart, so don't even take that stuff out if you don't have to. Good cashiers and baggers will know how to distribute the weight and sort the items properly, but then again, some employees will put a bunch of stuff in one bag and it can weigh a ton. I always tell them to fill the bags only about 3/4 of the way. I try to help the baggers as much as possible, or even do it myself, because I know I can do a better job, which is why I don't mind shopping at Aldi. Oh yeah, I highly recommend using paper bags for everything. Paper bags are essentially boxes, so it's much easier to arrange and stack the items compared to plastic. Also, you can fit more stuff in a paper bag, and they usually won't tear from sharp edges like plastic bags do. Plus, you can take a Sharpie and write what's inside the bag, like heavy or cold or fragile. This is really helpful when you're doing a double or triple shop, and it'll impress the customers. Hopefully this video covered the basics of the shopping process. If you felt I left something out or you were confused about anything, just let me know in the comments and I'll answer as soon as I can. In the third and final installment of the series, I'm going to show you how the checkout process works, how to load your car, and how to make the drop-off. I'll also show you how to handle alcohol purchases and what to do if the customer wants a refund at the door. While you're here, I encourage you to check out my other videos about Instacart and the gig economy in general. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you real soon.